Hey there, Tony here from Chronoforge Studios. In today's devlog, we're going to be going over the improvements I made to the movement and parkour system, as well as the progress I've made to the damaged particle system. After setting up the pistol aim system to work using IK, so the arms attached to the gun at specific points, I needed to integrate those changes with the regular movement and parkour systems. As you can see here, the body does not bend to face the direction the gun is pointing, and when you vault, the animation would normally put your hand down, but since the arm IK is overriding both arms, we don't see that part of the animation, which makes vaulting with your gun look really weird. For some vaults, you need both hands, and in those cases your gun will disappear with a cool material effect, then come back after the vault, but that effect is scheduled to be implemented a bit later. One problem that I had for a while, and I was just putting up with, was an error that would cause Unreal to crash every second time you tried to save the animation blueprint I was working in, so I had to restart it every second change. The error was kind of vague, but I eventually tracked it down to some of the animation layers not being able to dynamically link the inputs and the output. I ended up fixing it by pulling out the logic from each layer and just executing them on the main animation graph, which really helped with the iteration, but it took a good day and a half to resolve. One of the other issues I ran into right away was due to a mirror node inside the animation graph to reverse vaults when the system detected the hand wouldn't have anything underneath it. The original system only vaulted one way, and depending on how you vaulted over an object sometimes, your hand would be over the object you were vaulting. So my fix was to reverse it when this scenario was detected, but when I disabled IK for the left and right hand, depending on the vault, it wouldn't work in the mirrored scenario. This led me into Blender, where I tried to import the original vault and mirror the animations, but that proved to be very difficult due to the way Unreal bones are oriented. I tried a whole lot of different ways to achieve a mirror of the animation across the x-axis, but everything I tried just left me with this contorted mess. This also ate up about a half day, so I decided to cut my losses and look for new animations on the Unreal Store that had a left and right vault that would work. I was able to find a set of animations, but there's a bit more cleanup that is needed before they'll work with my existing parkour system, so I've only partially integrated that fix, but I think what I have now looks pretty good. The movement systems were a bit easier to do. It just involved adding the animation offset system I made to the pistol movement state by combining the top and bottom half of the character animations using a layered blend per bone node. The results are pretty good, not perfect, but I think it's a decent starting point that I can come back and polish up a bit later, time permitting. One of the other things I worked on this week was the visual effects for when enemies get damaged. My goal is to have a small area where the enemy is hit have pixels appear and disappear in that area. The biggest issue I had was removing a damage point after the initial hit. My initial solution was to have the particle system process it, then remove it, but after much testing I'm finding that there isn't really an easy way to do that. Ideally, I would be able to just input a point into the system and it would just be able to make damage effects around that point, but this has proven to be pretty difficult. One of the problems I've come across is that my existing solution for death effects require that my particles have a lifespan, since the spread effect moves across all the particles from the source and never reset. The damage system, however, will need to be active indefinitely, so the enemy can take any number of hits depending on the enemy health. This required me to make some changes to the initial death system, but I still haven't fully worked how I'm going to get both working together, so I'm currently reworking my initial design. I'll be putting this on hold for a little bit while I design the new method to have the damage and death systems work together. Once this is done, I'll go over my solution and the changes from my original system. I was able to find a way to pass in damage points, but was having issues getting the existing death particle system to spread pixels over a small area. I wasn't able to get to the dagger attacks and movement, but in doing all the pistol stuff I've realized that it'll likely take me about a week to fully implement the updated visuals for that weapon, so I'll be pushing that a little bit as well. I also didn't get to the HUD minimap, but since this is a short work week, with today being a holiday, I'll use the remaining time this week to work on it and use any remaining time to work on the design and cleanup of existing systems. I'm a few days late in releasing this video due to working a half day on Friday so I could go into the city and give blood, followed by a very busy weekend, but I should be back to my regular release times this Friday, so stay tuned for more. That's it for today. Be sure to like and subscribe or join our newsletter. There'll be a link in the description below. Thanks for watching and we'll see you next time.